Hello, I'm Brian from Dreis Krump. We're going to do a quick walk around on our model HBP 8250. Normally this would be a box and pan machine, but this one has been configured for a special radius, which would be used in kitchen counters. It's approximately a 5/8 radius, and the end result is it can bend 8-foot lengths up to 10 gauge material. This particular die set's really set up for about 100 thousandths material. And again, it will bend a radius, full length, 8 feet, stainless steel. It's a European style leaf. Normally, like I said, this would be a box and pan machine, but this one has a special large radius top die and a wiper die on the bottom. This allows for angles that are in excess of 135 degrees with the use of the wiper die. Machine can come with either a power NC back gauge or a manual back gauge. It has a touch screen. Controls can be utilized either at the pedal or on the touchscreen itself. Machine comes with an adjustable clamp pressure in case you're working with ferrous materials. You can adjust your clamp pressure here. Once the machine is set, you can go ahead and go through a bend cycle. This is performed by going to the auto mode. I got an angle here set of 103.5. Go ahead and clamp it. It'll bend the predetermined angle, it'll dwell and return. And if we have the unclamp set, it will also unclamp. Manually unclamp it at this point. Got about a 5.5 inch opening there. When your machine first arrives, turn the power off. And inside you'll find your manual. The manual will show lifting and leveling techniques, as well as operation of the machine. Okay, so just a little bit on the setup of the power leaf brake. Your oil fill tank cap is here, and your oil sight gauge is off to the side here. This is both a combination temperature and oil fill. You want to make sure you fill it up 90% of the glass of the oil type that's instructed in the manual. Once the machine is hooked up for either 220 or 440 three-phase, you're going to want to make sure you momentarily turn the motor on and make sure that the rotation matches the arrow on the electric motor. It's a 10 horsepower motor. If it does run in the opposite direction, the pump won't work, and it's just a matter of changing 2 of the 3 incoming leads on the 3-phase, and that'll put the motor going in the other direction. Okay, we're going to just do a quick startup sequence on the HBPU 8250. So go ahead and just turn your power on, the main switch, come around to your control panel, take your emergency stop switch off, and your start key. Control takes about 20 seconds to boot up. Once it boots up, it's a touch screen. Touch the screen anywhere to get into the main menu. And we're ready to start. Now the leaf adjustment for the lower wiper die, this is preset at the factory. So this depth that is currently here right now is 4/10 from the top of the insert bar to the top of the die. That's where that's your 0 starting point. So if you look down on the dials here, we got 0 on both sides. And that adjustment will raise and lower the entire lower leaf there. So if you drop the leaf down, it will give you less of a radius. If you raise it up, it'll give you a tighter radius. Okay, so the initial setup of this kitchen brake, we have both an indicator on the right and left hand sides here. This controls the gauge of your material. So if we're going to run our 80 thousandths material full length, we want to be on 2 millimeters on this side and 2 millimeters on this side. So we can go ahead and adjust it. You can run a little tighter if you want. You could probably run 1.5 millimeters, but that sets your clamp height of the top radius die. So if I go ahead and clamp it without any material, gets within 1/2 inch of the material, second clamp, that sets your air gap with a gauge of the material. So you can see how there's an air gap under there right now. So another thing worth noting is that the clamp gap adjustment will not turn if it's in the clamp position. You've got to unclamp it, and you can freely rotate this dial. Just a quick, easy adjustment. Make sure they're both the same. Okay, I want to go over the clamp pressure. So you want to set your clamp pressure here. Clockwise increases the pressure, counterclockwise decreases the pressure. So say we want to try to target 1500 psi clamping pressure. We would hit the clamp down once, and then when we hit the second time, we want to note the gauge. You only got about 2 seconds to actually adjust it. So once it bottoms, you can increase or decrease. Okay, increase or decrease the pressure accordingly. Okay, so this control is specific to a machine that's been converted with a special set of dies that only does a large radius. So it's not a conventional control, and it has been modified. So a couple of the things on the menu here worth noting are when the machine first boots, you're in the manual mode here. You really can't do anything until you start the pump. Once you start the pump, you can clamp, unclamp, and run your bending angle up and down. And that's all you can use the manual menu for. On this machine, it's not very applicable, so we're going to just talk mostly about the auto mode. So in the auto mode, this is where you could either pull up a program and run a program, or for instance, we can just enter the angle we want to do. Say we want to do 103 degrees. Go ahead and enter it. There's a clamp and unclamp feature. This allows you to automatically open the clamp after it's done with the bend. And we can also set the time, and that is the duration it takes before it unclamps. Okay, so there's really only 2 values there. There is a plus or minus value here. If you didn't want to disturb any of this and you want to increase it 1/2 degree, you can do that here, or decrease it. You can either enter a negative value of say 0.5, enter. Now it's going to actually bend at 102.5. It's back to 0. And so that's all that's involved in the auto mode. Put your angle in, and you're ready to start bending. The material has to be clamped. You have to hit clamp twice, and then you hit your start button. So now we'll run that same 103 degree bend, but we're going to do it from the pedals. So again, you hit clamp once, it comes down to within half an inch of the material. You hit clamp again, now it clamps the material. Then you hit the bend foot pedal. It'll cycle through, in this case 103 degrees. It'll dwell, it'll return, and it will unclamp. You'll see it pause for 2 seconds before it unclamps. And that's all it's to of the automatic mode. Okay, so I just want to go over a few more things here on this menu. So we got your manual mode, which you won't be really using. The automatic mode is primarily where you'll spend most of your time. You set your angle, you set your clamp dwell, you can turn your top clamp on and off if you choose. If you want to go in and actually write a program, you go into the program editor. You can name the program whatever you want. We can call this -2. Okay, we just created a new program. Now it's going to ask us how many processes or how many steps we want. We could say, for instance, 3, enter. Now, this machine, because it has the special dies, we're going to just set them all the same. And basically what it'll do is it'll run through each one of these lines as a separate command. So now we've got 3 moves. It's going to bend 102 degrees each time. We can add or subtract steps. If we choose, we can save the program. Once the program's saved, we can load program 2 by saying program download. Now we're ready to start the program. All right, again, you can turn your clamp feature on and off. Okay, so right now it's on, and it's going to go through 3 sequences of bending 102 degrees. Hit start program, and it's ready to take the foot controls at this point. So now we're going to drive the machine off the foot pedal. The material would be loaded. Again, you're going to hit clamp twice. Once lowers the top clamp down to within half an inch of the material. You hit clamp a second time. It compresses the material. And then you hit the bend pedal. It's going to bend to the 102 degrees, dwell, and return. Now you'll notice it'll advance to the second line, which is the same angle. It just unclamped. We're going to go ahead and clamp it again. Gets within half an inch of material. Hit the clamp again. Locks down the material. Hit bend again. Dwells. Returns. Opens the top clamp because we have the auto clamp on. You'll notice that we're onto the third line now. And again, we're going to hit clamp once. If it gets within half an inch of the material, hit clamp a second time. Final clamps it. The bend pedal sweeps 102 degrees. Dwells, returns, and after 2 seconds it unclamps. And that's it for the program editor. Very straightforward. So again, just the different control menus on this kitchen brake. This is your boot up screen. Touch anywhere on the screen, gets you going. Okay, it automatically defaults to the manual menu. You really won't be using this menu. This is more for like a setup on a conventional control. You can clamp, unclamp, raise the bed. But this is all manual operation. You really want to stay out of the screen. So you're going to concentrate most of your effort in the auto mode. Here's where you're going to set your angle. So you want to set 102.5 degrees, enter. and then this is your auto clamp up and down. This will either turn on or off the auto clamp. That's your top clamp. So if you turn it off, it'll retain the material. If you turn it on, it will unclamp the material after it bends it. And that's really all there is to it. On this particular control, you cannot enter a higher value than 104. If you try to enter a value 105, it defaults red. This is so that the die set does not crash. So when it says 102 degrees, that's not the actual final angle. That's the angle of the leaf. So this die set allows it to wrap all the way around like 140 some degrees. So this one will be our last sample here. We're going to go ahead and provide an air gap this time, so when it does clamp it, it won't open that 90-degree angle that's already bent. And again, the material is flush with the die, and we're going to do 103.5 degree wrap around on the angle. So here's our final sample. We're going to do 103.5. We space the sample over about 80 thousandths, the gauge of the material, and the material is all the way flush with the front die. I'm going to clamp it. Note the pressure. It's adequate. Go ahead and do the bend operation. It's going to bend at 103.5 degrees. It'll dwell at the top. That dwell is controlled. It'll return. Now we don't have the unclamp set, so I'll manually unclamp it. And we'll check the result. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bend this last one at 103.5 degrees. And again, the material is flush with the front of the die. And we're going to bend 103 degrees. I'm sorry, 103.5. So here's the last result at 103 degrees. I'm really happy with how it follows the contour. As I explained earlier, we bent our 90 in a power leaf brake, so it's not a real good 90. So this will be improved like the other samples, where it won't have like a lazy 90-degree angle leg to it. So that'll decrease that gap. Like I said, when I clamped it, it did open the angle back up a couple degrees. So, but as far as the tooling is right on the money. It follows that radius really good. I couldn't expect much more, and that's at 103 degrees. One other thing worth noting is that you want to make sure you stop your pump before you turn the control off, otherwise it will continue to run. So again, before you shut the main control off up here, you want to make sure you stop the pump and then shut your control down. If you ever considered having a custom machine built like this for you, please contact us at Dreis Krump.